Hello everybody, welcome to week 2 for my literature lab. I was supposed to send this out on Friday, but I made a decision not to because you've already been flooded with emails from me, and so as a result I decided to hold off until today. Last week we discussed what is poetry, how do we define poetry? As one of you said, it is a trick question, because what is defined as poetry by one person may not necessarily be poetry to somebody else. One of the biggest concerns that people have when defining poetry, well, is music involved in that? I had a teacher for a poetry class at UMass Boston a very long time ago, and when we were analyzing poetry, she actually explicitly said, I do not want any music as part of poetry. And in fact, there was actually an interesting debate over a song by the Moody Blues called Nights in White Satin, because at the end of the song, there is actually silent and a poem. If you want to take a look at that, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. So this week we're going to be continuing to analyze and assess poetry. Last week we took a look at Shakespeare, and we also took a look at William Wordsworth, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and this week we're looking at Sylvia Plath's metaphors, which is really a riddle, if you want to consider it as that, more so than poetry. But it does have poetic elements that we're going to take a look at. One of the major things about an online class that many of you have expressed, I'm not sure where I am in the course, I'm not sure if I'm doing well, if I'm not doing well. That is one of the concerns that naturally pops up in an online course, because you don't actually have time to spend with me necessarily getting feedback. And that's one of the major reasons why when you sign into my literature lab and you do the assignment there, I try to provide constructive feedback. I remember when I was going to National University, which was a fully online program, I had some teachers who gave pages and pages of feedback. Others just said, good work. Which is more constructive? Which is more helpful? While I can't give a page on every single question that you ask, I will maybe throw a question at you, just point to ponder. You don't have to answer those questions that I give you. Just things to think about. One of the major things that makes poetry so interesting is that everybody brings a different perspective to the table. Some of you have said, oh, I didn't get this answer. That's fine. You might have seen something else. Share that. The major concern that I have with using online classes is that it's easy to go online and find an assessment of a poem and post that to the answers. Refrain from doing that. If you're really struggling with a poem, by all means, take a look, see what others have done, but also come up with your own ideas. Because really, when it comes down to individual interpretations of poetry, your definition is going to be different from mine. Now, that aside, I also want to talk about some things that are going on in the course. Some of you are still not sure if you're in the right class, you're not sure if you're signed up for the right My Literature Lab. Relax. I'm not asking you to switch classes again. What they did was they actually eliminated one section of English Composition 2, and they put a bunch of you in different classes. Unfortunately, some of you had already registered for My Literature Lab under the class you were in. Don't worry about it. I'm going to grade, and I will figure out what goes where. Same thing goes with the Facebook posts. Some of you said, am I in the right class? It's not showing up. Why I was, and now all of a sudden I'm not. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out for you. I have posted so far English Composition 2, 1, and English Composition 2, Facebooks to the portal as of yesterday. I'm going to finish up the third section tomorrow, or tonight, if I get the chance. And I'm also going to be posting any new SkillBuilding assignments that have been posted to my literature lab by tomorrow as well. I did get an email from my dean yesterday. It looks like the access codes that you guys have been worrying about are available now at the Quincy bookstore. And so I'd like you guys to go grab those as soon as possible. And again, I'm so sorry that there's just been so much confusion. From what I understand, next semester we will not be using my literature lab at all. And one other student actually noted that there is a discussion board under the portal. I didn't notice that before. next semester I'll be doing that as well. It'll make it a lot easier on everybody, I'm sure. So this week, by the end of the week, which today is what, the 18th? Yeah. So by the 21st, I'd like to see everybody caught up with weeks 1 and 2. I sent out the assignment for weeks 1 and 2 when I sent out the syllabus last week. So if you're not sure where people are getting the questions from, they're underneath the attachment called assignments, which is not very revealing. I apologize. But in there, you will see week 1 skill building. Those are the questions that you need to email to me by Friday if you do not have access yet to my literature lab. You want to hold off on that, maybe write your answers and then submit them through my literature lab. That is perfectly within your right. Okay. Week 2 is also in there for skill building. And then, of course, you have the Facebook discussion questions for weeks 1 and 2. Now, some of you are still a little bit confused as to how we're doing things here as far as when to post, when to have your replies by. Obviously, a week lasts from Friday to Friday. I don't understand why we can't just start Monday to Monday. It's the way that the school operates. And obviously, skill building on my literature lab will go from Friday to Friday. So what I'd like you to do when you are posting to Facebook, your main post should be there by Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not going to dock you points for being 15 minutes late if you're doing it at 12:30 in the morning on Wednesday. I'm just not going to do that. If you are extremely late with main posting on, let's say you post Thursday, Friday, I'm going to be a little bit stricter with that because I want to make sure that everybody gets involved in the discussion board. I want to make sure everybody's really getting the most out of this class. Obviously, with skill building, you have 1 week to do the assignments. So you have week 1 skill building, week 2 skill building. Let's do this Friday. If you need more time, I'm going to be a little bit more flexible because I know that there's a lot to do this week if you're just registering for my literature lab. But generally speaking, a week's worth of work is from Friday to Friday. So week 3, I will expect you to have it completed by September 28th, I believe it is. Now, how do I grade? I grade based on effort. I grade based on looking at how much you fulfilled the question. Excuse me. It's really a gray area as far as grading goes because I don't actually use a rubric for the skill building assignment. I take a look at it, and if it's asking you 3 or 4 questions and you've made your honest, pulled your heart out to try and really get them, and you had brought in some good insights, not quite the answer that the book was looking for, I will give you credit for those. There are obviously some questions that are pretty specific that are right and wrong. But when we're talking about poetry and interpretations of poetry, really there are a myriad of interpretations. If you give me a 1-word answer for any of the skill building assignments, I'm probably not going to give you credit. These skill building assignments really do require a lot of thought. So, and the same thing goes for the Facebook posts. If you pour your heart and soul into your answers, I will give you credit for that. If, however, you're following up to your peers, remember, you have to respond to 2 by that week, so by Friday. And all I see is good work, good job. I'm not going to give you credit for that because that's not a detailed analysis of what the other student has written. I'm not looking for pages and pages of comment, but I'm looking for something with substance. Now, this video has gone a little bit longer than I normally like, but I wanted to condense my announcement and some concerns with Facebook and concerns with the class in one neat argument. So to wrap up, we are in week 2. Your assignments are due by this Friday, the 21st. Access codes should be available either today. I believe they're available today or tomorrow. I got the email yesterday from the dean, and I held off on making any announcements. But they're available at Quincy College bookstore to one student at campus, and she kind of said the campus. Where? I meant the bookstore. I apologize. And Facebook discussions will be due on Friday as well. So if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please email me. As I said, I do try to get back to you within 24 hours, although sometimes students realize that I'm actually on the computer and they'll send me massive emails, and that's fine. My job here is to serve you. My job is to help you. And any way that I can do that, I will. Take care.